All right, we're live. We might wait just another minute or two for the other guys to get here, but we'll start if they don't show up.
Yeah, we can give them some time to show up.
Yeah.
Do you want to send out a message again, just inviting everyone?
Yeah, I sent an email and then I also sent that message over to you too, so I'd assume everybody's got it.
Okay.
How's it going, Justin?
Anybody there?
Yeah, how's it going?
Hey, what's up, John?
Not much.
I'll be right back.
You're good.
We're probably still waiting for Forrest and Stephanie, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Internal rate of return, or IRR.
Hey, there's Forrest. How's it going, Forrest?
Going good. Just got home from work. Sorry I'm late.
You're good. Let's go ahead and get started, I guess, huh? All right. Well, looks like Michael, he was supposed to be the leader. He was not able to show up tonight, so we're kind of just flying by the seat of our pants here. I could probably discussion here, and we can kind of just go through it.
I think we could all just do it together.
Cool. Leader assignment instructions. All right. Oh, never mind. Wrong thing. He's supposed to have like brainstormed his role as Gilbert, and we're supposed to role play the section. So maybe what we could do is we could kind of skip that and just go right into what we thought about it. So I think if we go down to step 4, we could go through the ideas, and then we could just kind of pick which ones we liked, and hopefully we each kind of pick something separate so we can almost have these roles. But
Sounds good.
yeah, so what do you guys think? What were your guys' thoughts on the case in general?
I personally had never really thought about all that many different ways of pay, you know? That's the one that we were supposed to be talking about, right?
Correct. Yeah, like the incentive system. Yeah.
Like I really had never I've only worked for one company since I was 15. So I've never even thought about the fact that you get paid differently ever. So it was really interesting to think about that fact.
Cool.
Real quick question: are we gonna record this thing, or are we not gonna do that? Or
It's being recorded.
oh, okay.
Yep, it's recording. Yeah, I mean, I think it's really interesting, the different types of ways to incentivize people. You know, it's performance based, strictly salary. You know, individual performance, team performance.
Yeah.
You know, and other benefits as well. You know, stock options and health benefits, and I mean, there's all kinds of different ways to kind of incentivize your employees.
I don't know if I really like the team incentive, just because one person could just not do the work and the other person could, and get the same pay. I just don't agree with that personally, but I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, there's definitely pros and cons to all of it, huh?
Yeah,
I think that's a good point. Like it's just like with the church trying to do the law of consecration, right? So you get one person that's like taking advantage of it, and it just like throws a wrench in the whole thing. But theoretically, it would be great to live the law of consecration if everybody, was honest and hardworking.
right.
When we don't live in an honest and hardworking world, it's kind of hard to live that way. So I see that definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I can see how it could benefit the company, because then it kind of gives people a reason to work a little bit harder and can kind of compete a little bit against each other for each different team. I guess there's.
It also go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, that's all I was gonna say.
It also kind of gives them, that incentive to try to help encourage your teammates too, right? Because if they're not doing a good job, then you're gonna suffer from it too. So you kind of you try to want to help them. You want them to learn quickly.
Yeah.
If they're doing something they're not supposed to, they're they talk to them about it, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I think.
Well,
Go for it, Ezekiel.
oh yeah, and I kind of think it depends on the setting also. The other time, my wife and I went to eat at a restaurant, and I was wondering, how do they share the tips? Like, how do they share the tips? And one of the workers was like, "Oh, everyone just take equal part of the tip, so that therefore every day everyone goes on with something." And I was like, that seems to be a better way to do it than just having the hard-working folks be the only one that goes home with the money. So I think it just depends on the settings, and then that might be applicable.
Definitely.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Forrest?
Now I forget, but another thought I had was with the. Oh, that's right. So it seems like the way that that the program is being proposed is set up to benefit the company only, because even if everybody got their max base pay plus max pay after all the other considerations, they're still only making the same amount of money. If they said, we're going to give you a 75% base pay, but now you have an opportunity to make 4% more if you get perfect in all these other areas, then it gives the employees incentive to want to be better, rather than have to work so much harder and hope that everybody else is working harder just to get the same pay. So
that's true.
I feel like they're I feel like the employees are just getting ripped off by that. But I definitely see the pros of it as well, in the fact that, like you were saying, that they would encourage their teammates to get better and try and help their teammates. But I think there should be a 2% or 3% possible increase for those who actually put in that effort.
100%.
Yeah, that's a cool idea. That's true. Like, kind of put them together or whatever.
That was the thing I think that jumped out at me the most, just like you just said there. Because, I mean, once you give somebody something, like you can't really take that away without expecting some sort of a kickback. So I think you're totally right there. That yeah, there's no incentive there's no benefit for them in this new pay structure.
And then the other thing I was thinking about that was interesting was, they're talking about all the criteria for that 25%, and how there was a part in there where it kind of mentioned, we don't want to have specific numbers because those numbers are theoretical, and where do they come from and all these things. And at work, where I work, we get a possible up to 3% bonus or pay raise at the end of every year. And that's merit based, they say, but they don't tell you what the merit is, like what they were looking out for. If there's any sort of increase in productivity, they don't give you anything to go by, but they say it's merit based. So it's kind of hard to know what you're supposed to be doing better. Mm-hmm. So with them saying, having an increased number of 30%, why not throw it as 50%? Why, but it's nice to have something specific to look forward to. So at least they have the areas identified for that 25%. So that was a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree 100%. So I guess right now we're kind of discussing the current state. So the different ideas. So the other idea would be to reward people just on like individual rather than team. What would the pros and cons be to that viewpoint? So like have the incentives be more geared towards individual performance rather than team-based performance.
I think with that, you'll probably the people that are already good employees will probably be more productive a little bit, because they will want that increased benefit from their work. But I feel like it won't help the company as much. They won't be trying to encourage others to do better. In fact, maybe some people, if they saw it as, hey, I need to look better than this person, might try to hinder other people if it's a bad employee.
I agree. I mean, it's kind of a fine line you walk there too, huh? Because you want people to be encouraged to do their best, but at the same time, a lot of times when that happens, people look at other people's success as their failure, so as missed opportunities for themselves, and so it becomes a lot more of like a selfish type mentality. You do a lot less coordinating, a lot more looking for opportunities for yourself to improve rather than someone else. But seems like in sales, that's a big one though, is like incentivizing your salesmen to go out and perform and do what they can. You kind of you eat what you kill, right? So
yeah,
it seems like in sales, that's a pretty big focus. Any other thoughts on that one?
I think you could probably help people to like stay at the company if somebody works really hard, and they get better pay. Like that would might encourage them to stay a little bit longer. Yeah, but like you said, I think there's a downside to it because it doesn't really focus on a collaborative effort as a company. It's more individual. So
I think that point you just brought up there, I think there was it like the lead scientist guy or whatever. It seemed like he was just along that same lines of thinking, right? So by providing like individual incentives, you would attract like the more talented scientists, the more talented salesmen, more, So I think you're right. You almost attract like some higher talent. So yeah, there's definitely pros and cons to it.
So yeah, I think if we also look at it, like it also defeats the possibility of growth within the company, because there you have some hardworking fellas that they just want to take all the glory. Maybe they have some ideas of things to do in order to improve the organization. They'll want to keep it to themselves, so they keep getting the reward, while the company will rely on them. And then when they are no longer with the company basically sink and lose that skill. So I think it does have its own pros and cons. So working as a team and trying to individualize to incentivize individual efforts is just I mean, it's got all that cons to it that I don't know if it's worth it to go that part sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I think they also did something about cutting employees or something. You guys remember that? They said like cut 15% of the employees.
Yeah, that was one of the other options, huh? Like, I think the reason why they brought that up is because with the new like company focus and motto, I guess, or kind of like their new paradigm, right? It seemed like there was 15 or 20 or 30% of their company just wasn't on board yet or something. And so I think that's exactly what they were saying is let's get rid of those people that aren't on board with the new system. And then with that, if everybody's on board with our new philosophy or whatever, then this pay structure makes more sense.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's not exactly what we're talking about right now, but it was just a thought that I just had. When they're talking about the pay structure on different levels, you know, they talked about how the higher ups are more closely connected to the overall returns from the company, whereas, you know, because they're salaried and stuff, and the lower people on the totem pole, they're just going to make what they make, and it doesn't make a difference how much the company makes, really.
Mm-hmm.
And some people had the problem with the team situation, and hey, why am I being punished because a totally different department is failing at doing their job as well as I'm doing mine? I wonder if there could be multiple pay, you know, things like anybody on a supervisor level has one more little criteria for their pay than those below them. You know, I don't know. Just trying to make it more specific team oriented for the pay scale, but that would probably just make it too complicated. I don't know.
Yeah. Seemed like one of the, and maybe we're supposed to talk about that later here in our discussion, but it seems like one of the experts, just like you said there, that was one of, I think it was a girl. I think her point, one of her main points was that you got to keep it simple. If it's something that they can't understand, then they're not going to get behind it. But at the same time, you almost do, just like you're saying, you do kind of almost have to have that middle ground because there's pros and cons to both. And if you went like strictly team-based incentives, then there'd be a little bit less drive to do your best personally. And if you went strictly personal-based incentives, then there'd be no drive to work as a team, you know? And so it's kind of a fine line. You got to walk that and find a way to balance both.
Maybe you could do both, like Forrest was saying, just have like the team aspect of it, and then just kind of people that do more, worked a little bit harder, get a little bit of a raise or something like that. I don't know.
Well, even if there's maybe like, you know, the supervisor or the on the line workers have their team that they're with, and they are based off of the performance of that team, and the supervisor is on the division level, you know, with multiple different teams and how those work together and the outcome of those. And then a manager might be, you know, with multiple divisions or something, just so that it's more, the manager cares how the divisions under them are working, and the supervisor cares how that team under him is working or whatever. But I don't know, just to make it a little bit more specific so that one guy working in one team that's totally separate from another person, like they have no ability at all to help them out, doesn't get punished because that person on a completely different plane, you know, doesn't do their job.
That makes sense.
So where it's connected to what you can affect, because literally there are some people in my job that I could never affect how they do their job, period.
Yeah, that makes sense. Sweet. I like it.
Me too.
So if you, I guess kind of the next bullet point here, if you use an incentive pay system, how much pay should be based on performance and how much should be guaranteed?
I think that depends on the pace, like the average pay for that position. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think 75%. If the 100% reaches the average pay for that position in America, I think that's baloney to only give them 75 as base. If 110% was the average, or I mean, I'm sorry, if 90% was the average, so that they have an opportunity to get there and maybe a little bit beyond, then 75 would be okay. Or if they only want you to get right there, then they need to bring that up from 75 to 90, even 90%, so that you're not coming home with less than average because, you know, somebody else on the team isn't doing their job.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on that? No, that's good for us, Jeff.
Yeah, and I kind of think, I mean, just as you rightly said, it kind of depends on what the average is, and then it also depends on what we're trying to achieve. So, I mean, if we're just trying to achieve like workers pushing themselves to a higher height, then at least we want to maintain at least close to 100% of their pay rate, and just have them like work a little bit harder for like the next 10% or a little bit more above the 10%. So I think it depends on the company's objective for doing it, because big companies like Amazon and many other companies probably don't require that much. If it's just like, for example, just the advertising, you know, they probably don't require that much. But if it's like productivity and all that, then they might want to push their factory workers a little bit harder to achieve certain goals that probably robots won't be able to do. So I think it all just boils down to what the company is trying to achieve with that strategy.
Agreed. All right. So will incentive pay increase employee motivation? Why or why not? And if not, are there other reasons to use incentive pay? Do you guys feel like increasing, you know, pay is a real motivator for people, or it's not?
I think it can be to an extent, but if that's the only motivator, then that's not gonna be enough. You know?
I agree with Justin for the most part. If that's the only motivator, I don't think it's going to work. But again, with what I've already repeated a couple times, if it's a motivator to increase the pay, that is much more of a motivator to me, at least.
Well, and I kind of think that I mean, a lot of companies try to achieve motivation by like giving incentives and all that, but we shouldn't detach passion, like what people are passionate about, what they really want to do. So, I mean, that boils down to the hiring process and a lot of other things that will go in to ensure that incentives will be a good or even an important motivation. So I mean, if you get the wrong people on the team, no matter how much you try to give them, you're just gonna be losing your money because they are not really interested in whatever you are doing. They are not connected to the vision or dreams of the company. So I think it depends on pretty much getting the right people on board, and then that kind of motivation might work a little bit.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's kind of psychological if you think about it. It goes a little bit deeper.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, I mean, it really does. Like in this case, it's the one thing you need to remember is that these employees were already used to making a certain wage. You know, it's not like they're starting a new job. This is their job, and it's just being adjusted. So I mean, if you're going to another job, that's like something else. Like you can come in with the idea that, hey, maybe I'll make this amount plus the ability to make more with this incentivized, performance-based option. But for these current employees to look at this option and be like, wow, this doesn't look like an improvement at all, then that's pretty disheartening.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then it says we're supposed to relax out of our top chem roles and return to our own identities. So I'm thinking that we kind of already just did that. So what's the most important thing you guys feel like you learned from this case?
I would say that pay isn't everything. There's a lot more to a business than just paying them, Like Ezekiel said, like they have to really love what they do. They got to have a passion for it. They got to truly enjoy it and able to put in the hard work. I think Steve Jobs had a quote like that one time. He said, you got to love what you do or else you're just going to quit. Like any rational person is just going to give up, So that's what I would say.
Good point. Any other thoughts?
Yeah, just that there's options out there. It really hit me this time because I never even thought about the fact that there's different options. Really.
Yeah. Like stock options, that's kind of cool too.
Yeah, and like we have certain health benefits and stock options and things, but I don't know why it never crossed my mind. Well, I live in a tiny town where literally I only had one option for a job, and thankfully I got it over some other people. So I didn't really care about the pay. I just wanted to live here, so that was my only option. So I never even thought about it before until this case. But yeah, just that there's different options and different incentives, and people have to actually weigh those before they take a job if they're a high demand person.
Definitely. And it's interesting because different people, attach and kind of navigate or migrate towards different pay styles, a little bit more naturally than others. Some people like the security of a salary, and other people like the potential of commission-based type sales. So, I mean, there's different personalities, and I think that needs to be taken into consideration as well for your company. Is what types of personalities are you trying to draw in, or do you want the entrepreneurial type people that want that potential to build something, or do you want somebody who's maybe more quote unquote dependable, but they're kind of in it to kind of get their pay. They'll come in 9 to 5, kind of a person. Or I mean, there's different types of people, and different pay incentivizes people in different ways. So
yeah, that's true.
So generally, a really good salesman, he'd care less about his salary. He wants to know what his commissions is going to be. Because a really good salesman could make a lot more than he could off of commissions than he would off of just a base salary. So just different types of people.
Sweet.
Cool.
Sweet.
Well, I think that's kind of it. We're supposed to rate the overall discussion and how our discussion leader did, but we kind of all just kind of talked and felt like it was good.
Yeah. Sorry if I took over.
Dude, you're golden. Do we need, let's see, I guess we don't have anything due until less than 11 for doohickeys, right?
Yeah, I think so.
We got 2 more weeks. We really should probably start thinking about that one this next week and plan.
Yeah, I think we should work a little bit more on our doohickeys. Like the last one I submitted, we couldn't make it up to 3,500 minimum.
I saw that, yeah, on Sunday.
Weights, so we might want to like put a little bit. And I wasn't sure if that was my time for writing, but I mean, I had to write introduction and a couple of other things and put some references just to augment it from the original 2,000 words. So I think we just need to like put in a little bit more effort. So
I agree.
Because I saw some other group and they wrote like 20-something pages, and I was like, oh, okay. So we might want to like.
So I think this next week we should probably hit that harder.
Yeah, if we can start a little bit earlier, get everyone on board.
Yeah.
Maybe not take too much time with our live discussion, so we have more time to work on the wikis. And I think if everyone is on board, we'll just have the motivation to do it.
I agree.
Same here. I agree too.
Does anybody have the group leader sheet in front of them?
That's me next week.
Okay. So maybe if you want to plan on that, Forrest,
Yep.
maybe we'll just take a little bit less time on the group like this weekly discussion, and we'll try to hit the doohickey one pretty hard. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that's perfect. I agree. I just wasn't 100% clear last week, and I was super busy last week. So sorry that my part was not up to par. But this next time, I'll do it. I'll do it right.
It's okay. I mean, we can always make it up for each other. So we just need to coordinate more.
Yeah, I definitely agree that if we start a week earlier rather than the week it's due, pretty much, that'll make it a lot easier. So, are we planning on next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? What are we doing?
Thursdays work pretty good for me.
Same here.
If that works for everybody else. I mean, it seems like Mike struggles, but even when we do it on Tuesdays, I think.
Yeah, I think it works for me too.
Perfect. So plan on Thursday. That gives us a little more time to be able to read our stuff.
Let's do it.
All right.
Cool, guys.
See you guys Thursday.
All right.
Our board.
See you then.
So yeah, you say you'll be able to turn that in for us, John?
Yeah, I'll just post this on our board, and yeah, we'll be good.
Perfect. All right.
Cool. I'll see you guys.
Goodbye.
All right. See ya.